Honest J. Nowak. Oh yeah. A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to HJN. So for today, I'd like to go ahead and talk about a little old process that we used to do all the time called playback. And even to this day, we can still use playback depending on what kind of hardware that we typically use when it comes to whatever kind of format that we happen to use to play films or television shows. Whenever we want to watch a film or a television show, there's multiple formats to choose from. Throughout history, we've had a lot of different ways to do it. We've had laserdiscs, cartridges, CDs, VHS cassettes, and nowadays we have the digital downloads, for the most part. But some of these old formats, they do continue to be used, depending on which way you look at it. Some of these older televisions and the like that we happen to have sometimes, usually kept in storage in an attic or basement or whatnot. But some of these times, there's people out there who actually happen to use these things 24/7. They live in the past, pretty much. Of course, most of the time, I've also happened to pretty much strive to be someone of that sort because I've technically felt a bit more comfortable in the time where I've had all of this stuff that I could really get used to doing. But nowadays, with all these digital things that are going on, whether you're using a smartphone or a laptop or whatever kind of iOS device or Android device or whatever it is that you may typically use on a daily basis, you can always expect to download stuff digitally, almost 24/7. But of course, I've grown up with the majority of which revolving around VHS cassettes and discs. That's how I've typically watched films on. VHS or a DVD. Those were the two things that I had. And of course, Netflix wasn't really around much back in the 2000s. But of course, by the time it did start to come around, we were pretty much hooked on the kind of offers that it would bring to us. Opportunities of all sorts. We'd be able to watch stuff for free, upon paying a monthly bill though. Whatever we wanted, no matter what the case may be. An older film or a newer film that had been digitally remastered to really fit onto a high definition screen. HD clarity has really been sweeping the nation and the globe by storm. Although there's a little something I should probably disclose. Netflix doesn't always have this type of graphic capability, depending on the type of graphics card that you have or the type of, clarity that your screen would normally be. Of course, my current laptop, which is an HP ProBook that had been fully refurbished, does happen to play some HD quality based videos and footage pretty well. But most of the time, it happens to play Netflix or even Disney Plus now, kind of at a smaller quality rate, which may not make sense to most of you, but somehow that's just how it happens sometimes. But the process of playback is all dependent on how you do it. With VHS tapes, there's the option to rewind it and forward it by pressing buttons on the VCR. With DVDs, it's the same thing. But of course, you have the option of using a wireless remote to control the amount of forward and reverse that you desire to do. But with today, you can always just tap your finger on a screen or click your mouse on a screen, depending on how you use technology nowadays, and just simply drag the cursor along to a point where you'd want to be in. That's just how playback is in a nutshell. But of course, aside from all that info that I've just given out, there's a lot of other things about it. But that would take a while just to pretty much put together. So let me just leave you all with that info right there of rewinding and forwarding, being that it's a part of playback and it's a very important part of it, unless you were clicking on a certain piece of footage that you recorded, of which case it can already start at the beginning. But of course, you can always do the process in the same way. Drag the cursor alongside to direct it to wherever you want the footage to be played at. And that's really going to be all I have to offer here at this point. So if you want to see more, go down on my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.